let's look at the components, the OpenVAS design. So you see the targets. So this is when we talk about the OpenVAS design, there's nothing called as scans. This is all task. In OpenVAS architecture, you talk about the Greenbaum, design as well, the recommended design or their own scan. Scan is being represented by the task. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that you will, in the dashboard, you will find no option saying that scan. You will find an option saying that task. Okay, so it's just a name, nothing special. So over there, you will get an option of defining the targets. Scan config. Scan config is a method where we define, parameters about what kind of a scan it could be: full scan, short scan, all those stuff, fast scan, and other stuff. Whether it could be for the network, for the host, and all those stuff. Okay, you can be able to make it schedule scan, based on your need. You will also be able to create the alerts. All this together binds into the task. Okay, it's that simple, and then you perform the scan. All right, so without taking much time, we'll first start with the installation of the OpenVAS design, or what we call as a GVM. All right, so we'll catch you there. All right, so let's open our command prompt. That's where all the magic happens. We are going to run multiple privilege commands, so let's make use of the root access. All right, so we are currently under root. In order to get all the updates packages as well, let's have a quick look at some updates. All right, so it's taking some time, and this package will actually be installing everything needed in order to make use of the updates. I mean, our updated commands as well. So let's first install the OpenVAS scanner. So sudo apt. Earlier the command were OpenVAS. Now it's just GVM. All right. So you do this, and that's where everything happens. You see this? It's getting started. The download has begun, and it seems like it's taking some time. All right. So it's gonna take a bit of a time because there are a whole lot of package. So we'll hold the video, for a while, and we'll catch you once the installation is done. Okay. So the installation is completed. It has been completed successfully. You could see all the packages has been installed, and now in order to have the installation set up to initiate it, we'll have to make use of a command gvm -setup. Again, it's gonna take a bit more time, and this way whatever has been downloaded so far will get installed on your Kali machine. All right, so this time we'll be looking at what all are getting installed on the machine, and what exactly is happening. So just to give you a glance, there are multiple NVTs, what we call as feeds. All right, so these feeds are, as we have discussed, have shown you in the architecture. This was network vulnerability test. You know what? There are, as I said in the beginning, there are more than 50,000 of NVT. These are equivalent to plugins, right? So you might get the glance, through lots of plugins. That's lots of NVT. That includes the NVT related to VMware, Windows, Microsoft, Cisco, Juniper, Fortinet, all the platform. You talk about whatever there in the industry. That's the beauty of the scanner. Whatever we can really expect in any commercial, commercial kind of a tool, any kind of plugins that they are available with the feeds. Basically, you can find all of them with the Open Scanner, the GVM as well, OpenVAS basically. Sorry. Now, once this get completed, you get to see a message saying that your admin user has been created, and you actually have to copy this password. Here we go. Sorry. So you actually have to copy this password and note it down somewhere. So I'll make a note in my. All right. So you can see the password. Let's quickly check the status. Oops. One second. Just to make sure we have got everything right, we'll check the status of our GVM, the OpenVAS scanner. with a command gvm check setup, and this will give you an idea what is the status of your gvm. All right, so it checks the step one. Usually earlier we even used to turn up the Redis database as well manually, but now it has been automated completely. All right, so that's wonderful. You could see at the end that GVM 11 installation is okay. That means we are good to access to our scanner in the portal. All right, so let's go to the scanner and let's go to the browser. And on the browser, all right, wonderful. You have to wait for a while, and sorry, the URL that you are supposed to go is the local host with a port. Sorry, it's local host with a port 9392. All right, and it asks you to accept the risk because there's no certificate. All right, so you use the admin as the user and passwords that you have copied. Okay, so we just copied the password and we paste it over here. Let's log in. Lovely. You see this? It was that easy. And this is the entire dashboard of OpenVAS scanner. This is the front end dashboard, and over here you see the option of task reports. If you remember, I told you about there's nothing called scans and everything. Everything starts with this task. Okay, you have to create the task in order to schedule your or create or conduct your scans in a way. There are multiple options, multiple features. It's gonna be lots of fun. We'll jump to the basic scanning option as well as we go ahead. Now remember one thing, guys. You might see sometime your scanner gets stuck, and you might see an error saying that your green bone security assistant is not really running or something. So in that case, you might see an error when you put the command gvm check status. That's gonna be pretty easier. If you see that error, you have to manually install that software package basically by making use of a command sudo apt install. That's altogether a different package. So you can make use of sudo apt install greenbone security assistance. Okay, and once you press enter, it's gonna be get installed. But in our case, everything is good, so we have nothing to worry about it. All right, and even if if you let's say you forget to copy the password the way we have got it, right? So we have copied the password, put it in the notepad. Sometime if you forgot to create or copy it and keep it safe, you can make use of a command and you can generate a new one as well. For that, you have to run a gvm command. So you can do gvm minus user with the admin privilege. And what you want to do, you want to create a new password. So new password, let's say with a password saying that maybe admin123. You can set it manually as well. You got that? So you can manually create your password and keep it the way you want it. All right, so that's all for the installation, and the next lecture will catch you for the basic scan. Thank you so much. All right, so without taking much time, let's go to your GVM. All right, it's all start with configuring targets. Okay, so let's go to the targets. All right, and over here, the first step is to create the target machine. Okay, so let me put a name, metasploitable. All right, what's the IP address? The IP address, if I remember correctly, is 10.0.1.141. Okay. If you have a list of hosts that you want to target, you can even browse it, or probably you can have a network as well. You can define the entire subnet as well. You can even exclude it if you have multiple targets, so you can have a exclude list. Next comes in the port list. There are 65,000 ports available. You can allow your scanner to scan for all those ports, but including all of them might take a whole lot of time. But leaving one, anyone, can lead to a problem as well, right? So that's why the best practice is to, or I would say the best suggestion is to go with the OpenVAS default. This is basically a best practice where most popular ports are already being included. Now there's another option called a live test. This is nothing but an option where you can customize what kind of a scan or what kind of a probe you want your OpenVAS to send. Usually, by default, it can make use of ICMP echo. But if the target host doesn't really allow the ICMP echo to respond, you can even make use of TCP echo as well. Okay, so there are a variety of options. You can probably make use of those. When we start learning about the Nmap, we get to know about there are TCP SYN, TCP, TCP ACK scan, and multiple other stuff where we form either half open session or complete three-way handshake, and of course the TCP echo as well. So for this, we'll keep it default. Now, then next comes in the credential for authenticated check. This is very, very important. If you make use of it, then only you will get to know the entire insight of the target host. Okay. You once you drag and drop, you can get to know about the list of credentials that you have stored. You can possibly I already have a list of credential available. You can create your own username and password the way you want it. You can go to the configuration tab again, and under that you will select the option of credentials, and you can make a file of your all credentials, or you can even create it ad hoc over here itself. So let's say if I don't have any, it's the first time, I can just click on it. I can metasploitable machine, let's say I type machine and put the username and password. The default password is MSF admin. MSF. Wonderful. So we have selected the credentials as well. We can simply save it. Wonderful. We can see that. Now let's go to the scan, create task. Click on the new task over here on the top, and let's give a name, meta scan maybe. Okay. Now let's select your target. You can select the Metasploitable as your target, which you just created. You can skip the alerts schedule if you want it. We'll cover that in the special lecture altogether. Then you get an option of defining your scanner. Let's keep it default as it is our community license. We can then comes to the scan config. Now this is very interesting point. Scan config is nothing but your scan profile. We have seen whole lot of NVTs, which are our network vulnerability tests for every vendors. There are more than thousands plugins, or I would say the NVTs getting installed on OpenVAS, similar to the Nessus. Nessus plugin is equivalent to the NVTs of Greenbone Security or OpenVAS. So what happened is every scan config consists of list of NVTs. Okay, so just to there are multiple options available like discovery based, host discovery, but that's just to know about the host and all those stuff, right? Very basic. To get more clarity on what all vulnerabilities we have, just like what we do in the real vulnerability scanning. Full and fast is pretty good. It perform the complete scanning at the same time. It's quick as well. If you really want to go very deep inside and cover all the unknowns and possible unknowns as well, you can go for very deep, ultimate, and very deep as well. For now, we can just select the full and fast. This is to keep in mind that we need the scanning to be done in a couple of minutes. All right. So let's save it. Once this has been saved, you can see the scan available over here, and you can just click on start. All right. So it gets started, and the first phase is requested. Then your scan will start working. It might take a couple of minutes to complete the entire scan, and you would see the entire status on the dashboard itself about number of tasks we have. Let's say you have created multiple scans. What are the results? Do we have tasks with the most high result per host, and all the stuff, status of your task as well. So it's gonna take a couple of minutes. So what we can do is we can pause the video for now, and we'll catch you later then. Alright, so to be very honest, I mean, it took more time than expected. The reason is there are really, because it is already infected machine, so you can definitely expect a whole lot of vulnerabilities into the system. So you see there are, we have found that the scanner has found around 163 vulnerabilities. Okay, and because the numbers are large, you see it's still loading up. Okay, and we once it is there, once we get to know all the vulnerabilities, we get the details about it. Wonderful. We get to see all the details, and it looks like most of them are of high risk. Okay, so let's say if we open any one of them. Okay, let's say this one. Let's say second one. This is GNU Bash, Bash stacked redirects, also known as redirect attack, memory corruption vulnerabilities. Okay, let's say if I go there, it's give me the summary of it, product detection results, insight, detection method, affected software, impact, solution as well, and the references. The reference goes to the CV details, just exactly the way we have analyzed, the Nessus as well. Okay, so this is really wonderful. What you can do, once you have the all the scan report, you can even download the report. You can download it this way. You can get the into the XML file and then download it, or you can even make a PDF file and then download it as well. So once this is done, you can download the entire report on your system. And then you can share it with the concerned team the way you want it. Let's skip it for a while. Let's go to all the other parameters. What is the host detail? What are the ports that has been scanned? So if you remember, we have selected the OpenVAS default ports. So these are the most popular ports on which the scanning need to be done. And in fact, if you remember, we can also make our customized port list. Then we can call it under the task as well. Number of application. These are the applications which are already present on the metasploitable host, and you see it actually scan. Okay, so this is actually scanning, asking to save the file that we prompted earlier. So this has actually scanned for all the application into the metasploitable: MySQL, PostgreSQL, Samba, PHP, Zip, Firefox, everything, TCP dump, Kerberos, everything. Okay, and you can even get to know about the CV information. What are the CV has been triggered, and all these stuff, all the cool stuff. Okay, so this is all about the the stars, and this gives all the information about the report of activity, and it is highly customizable as well. So this is all about scanning the complete host. So scan config, alerts, and schedules. Let's go from a different approach. Let's start with the alerts and schedule, and then we'll come to the scan config. All right. So what are alerts? Alerts are the way you can make sure you get alerts about your task and its status as well. So what you can probably do is you can go to the config, click on the alerts. You don't have any. You can create one. You can mention the alert for whatever the purpose you want to make sure. Then in that case, you either can specify based on the events. So let's say I want to specify based on the events. Maybe if any it's a new event or whatever, if I get any NVTs and all those stuff. And it can even be done based on the task as well. So if your task is being requested, what is the status of it? If it is a new one, if it is completed, then you should get an email or whatever the method you specify. You can specify the condition or severity has been changed, data report, the method, delivery method. What is the method you wanna opt for? Is it through the email, SCP, HTTP GET message, SMB, whatever it is? Okay, if it is the email, then you can specify the to address, your IT admin, the security folks or anyone. Then you specify the your own address, subject line for sure. It can be customized completely. You can specify the email content as well, and once it is done, you can just save it. All right, so that's pretty quick in a way. So that's all about the alerts. It's just to make sure you get notified about all the activities that you do, or maybe all the changes that happen based on the scan, based on the task, or maybe related to the NVTs, or if you get any new NVTs or changes into the database as well, everything. Okay, so now next, let's look at the schedule. That's pretty quick. We just have to see what schedules we want to plan for. Let's say we have a schedule for any other patterns that we want to go for. So we are mostly be scheduling this scan maybe 4 p.m. or maybe 4 p.m. Eastern time, or maybe it is in the midnight, or maybe in the weekend time sometime. So you can specify accordingly. You can give a specific details about it, and what is the duration you would like to go for. And if you really want to make it a recurring, then you can specify that one as well. If you want to make it weekly, then you can do that as well. It's a part of your scanning and best practices and what kind of a compliance that you have all across your organization. So that's done. Let's jump to the scan config, which is a very, very important part of it. For that, we again have to go to the configuration, click on the scan config. Now look at this. It's actually what we have seen in the task, isn't it? Okay, let me show you. Over here, you see the base, discovery, full and fast, and all those stuff. This is exactly what we have seen while creating the task. Okay, when we were creating the task, you see this. We have created the task. We specify all the parameter, and you see this scan config. We usually on the last past two scans, we have selected the full and fast. And I told you already, for every scan config is like scan profiles. Okay, and this consists of multiple NVTs, and NVTs are nothing but these are network vulnerability tests for different vendors. Okay, so if we again go back to our scan config, and let's look at this. Okay, why I want to explain you this is because if you don't like what is really pre-built, what is really present, you can customize it. Let me show you how. You can simply go and create the new one over here. Let's say you can create any kind of a custom scan config, and it depends on what are you actually willing to scan. Let's say you just want to scan for Cisco devices, so you can't really have all the plugins into it, right? Full and fast has multiple, it has the multiple NVTs related to Cisco servers, routers, switches, appliance server, a VMware, firewalls, everything you talk about. But if you really want to just scan for Cisco device, you really don't need rest of the stuff, right? So you can just specify like Cisco devices, scan config, and let's say you got 3 options. I'll just keep it a base for minimum set of NVTs for now. Okay, let's save it. Once it is ready, you can see over here, let's customize it. Click on the edit scan config. Once you do that, it's gonna start loading up. You see this? You get to see almost all the NVTs family, and every NVT family has list of NVTs into it. Okay, so if you even see Cisco, wonderful. We got Cisco as 647 NVTs into it. Okay, and that's pretty fantastic because this will help us to go more deeper inside. And even if you want to make a bit more specific, even in the Cisco family itself, you can be very specific as well. Out of 700 or something, you can select one of them maybe for specific vulnerability. Why it is needed? Because sometime you get a notification from some organization or from somebody, or it's a new vulnerability that has been identified, or maybe you want to check for a specific vulnerability all across your network. You just specifically select that vulnerability. Let's say in our case, I just specifically select a vulnerabilities, maybe this ACS or something, this vulnerability. Once I select that, after that only this, you see this, one of 3647 vulnerability has been NVT has been selected. Okay, and in that case, all the devices will be scanned only for this vulnerability. Okay, but if you select all of them, then all the vulnerabilities will be selected in that case. You got my point? So when you really want to scan for one device, in a way, one device all across the network, you can go here and select your specific vulnerability. But if you want to select, if you want to scan for all the devices all across your network, you can select the entire family itself. So it's give you a very granular functionality of selecting either one NVT or family of NVTs. You got that? So once you select that, you can save it, and you see this. You have just created a scan config. This scan config, you just created this, and this has total 650 NVTs available. Now, what you can actually do is you can create a task, and let's say you have already selected your targets. Okay, while creating the task, in the task, you call your target, your Cisco routers, firewall, switches, or whatever the device, maybe call manager, or or maybe your wireless Cisco wireless devices. And after that, what is needed to do is in the scan config, you should see your newly created scan config. You see this? It's that beautiful. So once it is done, you can save it and you are ready to go. So this saves a whole lot of time of yours, because when it is a generic scan config, it's going to scan for all the NVTs and it's going to take a whole lot of time. But if you're sure that you are only scanning for Cisco routers, then go for this. Makes sense, right? So this is all about alerts, schedules, and very important scan config. I hope you like the video. We'll catch you soon. Alright, so thanks for watching this video. If you like this video and my effort as well, then you can subscribe to the channel, you can hit the like button, and you can ask me any question in the comment section as well. Till then, keep learning.